What's up, everybody? John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction. And I've got a surprise review for you today. Doom 2099. You probably were not expecting this one. I recently did a read-through of all the Spider-Man 2099s by Peter David, of which there are currently 5 volumes? I think there's 5 volumes. And one of them's not labeled Volume 5. It's labeled like Spider-Man versus Venom to just really throw off the spines of the book, which is obnoxious. Now, there's not a lot of 2099 stuff collected. There's an X-Men Volume 1 that they put out. I think that didn't do all that well, so they never put out a second volume of that. And I guess there's the newer Spider-Man 2099 run that Peter David did also in regular trade paperback format. Might pick those up eventually. But they had this whole universe going in the 90s. They had Doom, who literally is just Dr. Doom in 2099. And they had Ravage, who was another Stan Lee creation. I'd love to get that collected because I want to read another Stan Lee book, since he scripted that. That's pretty great. And then they had an Unlimited volume. I think they had Ghost Rider and Punisher also, something like that. And they had a couple miniseries also that happened for a bit. But Doom 2099 was one of the major ones, and like Spider-Man 2099, it went for several issues. This collects 24 to 39, which is all of Warren Ellis's writing on it. 1 through 23 are not in here. I don't know what's in them. I've never read it. I literally just read this. And I guess him and Peter David quit because there was some problem with the editorial around that 39-point marker, and he wrapped up his he actually wrapped up what's going on and reset Doom pretty well. And it ran for like 5 or 6 issues or something like that after Warren Ellis quit, and then the whole line kind of fell apart. So let's dive into this. I found this at a Half Price Books. This is super out of print. Good luck for finding this under $100 for a little trade paperback. But it's got a lot of content in it. And I read it. I thought I didn't like it all that much at first, but I read it all in one night, and my wife's like, "You could not put this down." So I guess that's it. So they have a previously page talking about Doom and some people who I don't understand who they are and all that. And apparently it starts out with like Warren Ellis scripting over somebody else's plot. I think Warren Ellis is wrapping up somebody else's plot here, where Doom's got this woman who is messing with him. He's bombing her island or whatever. She creates a second Doom. They don't know which one's the real Doom. And then she sends them back in time in classic, like, Fantastic Four Doom fashion. I wasn't super engaged in this because I'm just like, I do not know what's going on or who this lady is or anything like that. And then we get an oversized 25th issue where Doom's back in time fighting the fake Doom. He realizes he's the real Doom. And that's about all that comes out of this issue. She's like, "I had to challenge you, my love," or whatever at the end. And that's it. So that was somebody else's plot that Warren Ellis was really wrapping up. And he begins in earnest here as Doom returns to Latveria, or however you want to pronounce it. Latvia is a real country. Latveria is not a real country. And that's Marvel. There you go. Okay. And we got Pat Broderick on the art here. As you can see, I don't know. I don't love his faces. I don't love the whole, like, shadowing of her face, and that's a bizarre-looking face as it is. Doesn't look a ton better there. So I had struggled to get into it on the art perspective. A lot of dark colors, which, kind of just mute everything, make it difficult to see what's going on. Very 90s. And so he's going back here, reclaiming his country. He finds out she kind of wasn't the best. There's this side country that Doom owns, and they're rebelling, and so Doom is scheming. And here's the big rebellion. We see some riots here, and we get a little bit of Doom's past in here, but it really, like, this was slow going and a lot of setup in these 2 issues here, and we look, it's just like 90s. Ka-chow. That has a different meaning for us now. But Doom deals with people who are not so loyal to him, and he starts to formulate his plan basically to take over the world, is what goes down. The next issue goes to an airstrip where Doom is bringing in people from Wakanda, bringing in some other people to help him, and brings in this mutant guy who's like, I don't know, a punk rock thingy in this. And warns this, he's basically assembling his team, and he vows to take over America at this point. Very cool. 29 is really where things heat up. So Doom kills all of his insurgents, or has somebody else do it, and then makes his plan to take over America. This whole issue is basically him taking over America and sending his people out to take over America. It starts to pick up the pace a lot faster here, and this is where I really got into it, so couldn't put it down at this point. So about 29, I was like, wow, this is so exciting. You just see him just torching America, rolling in. I mean, absolutely ridiculous, which is what I like. I like high action, ridiculous stuff. And then it ends with him in the Oval Office when the president has killed himself in dark 90s fashion. And Doom's in the White House, issue 30 now. Yay. We got Doom and his people trying to take over. Doom goes on a national broadcast and loses control and goes a little crazy. Is that this one? Maybe that's the next one. Doom's setting up in that one. This one, he learns that there's an alien among his, like, the corporate advisors, and the corporations really rule everything. And Doom this is where Doom goes crazy. And then on the next one, the corporations decide to fight back. So they all team up with this guy right here, crazy guy, and he says, "I want to be president once this is all done. Is my price." And he screws up Doom's White House, kills his whole team, and then brings back this guy who pretends to be Captain America, basically. And so that symbols of America to try to like trick the populace into like thinking that there's some sign that's going on. And he's a fake, or so Doom thinks. And yeah, the art's meh. All across the board. I didn't love the art of this volume too much. It's very 90s fare. Very inconsistent the whole way. Everybody dies, or at least it seems like everybody dies. The next issue really is like a reaction issue to that, and this guy is kind of coming back and taking over. And then we have Steve Rogers being president. Now, this guy is really not Steve Rogers. He gets pretty nasty. We see a Doom arm. We think he's dead in this issue. And this issue changes things. So Doom kind of goes on the run. This lady's on the run. Whoever did the art in this one's a little better. Steve Pugh? I don't know. He's all right. I don't like the coloring. Maybe it's and also I think there's a little too heavy of inks, perhaps. Oh well, what can you do? Yeah, I mean the coloring just is really flat right in here, and for these major pages doesn't look all that good. Might be the scans. The scans might be bothering. Look at the lettering. It's all really dark and really heavy. Looks like maybe they scanned this poorly. I don't know. I'd have to check the original issues for that. But this gal is off, and there's a lot of splash pages from here on out, which is kind of obnoxious. And she's cool. I like this character a lot. Doom wants her. We find out Doom's alive at the end of this issue to help. She's got some mutant ability where she talks to machines. I would read a series of this gal any day. And her and a preacher plan to just like take these guys down from the corporate level. Doom is ready to take them down. And they go to like this special X-Men city-state over the next couple issues. And there's some attacks, some fights, and eventually you get double splash page. This is really ugly. Look at the art on this. I mean, Warren Ellis put together a really great story for me to be this invested with the art at this level, which is interesting. It always goes to show to me, writing is so important. I can forgive some art like pretty badly, but if the story's not there, I'm going to be opposed to it. For here, the story was here, and so I saw this happening. Look at this. Look at this bizarre, this figure. She looks like a midget. So she's got big, broad shoulders. Her neck's kind of compressed. Her arms really oddly shaped. Really weird, weirdly shaped body. That's what I'm seeing in this whole deal in the 90s. And then Doom finally ends up taking down that guy and taking down Captain America. They built a red house instead of a white house. And they conclude it in 39. And what's interesting here is we get John Buscema art for this last issue. So very nice. We get a very, very beautiful landscape here. Very beautiful. It's like suddenly the art changes and it's wonderful. Now this book is almost entirely splash pages for this last book, and it's just Doom kind of reminiscing over what happened. You know, he thought he could take things over, but the Americans really were to blame all the way around. And this is the only page that's not, I guess it's a dual panel splash page, through tri-panel splash page. But they're mostly splash pages. And John Buscema's figures are perfect. This is what comic art should be. So very, very stark contrast. But it's like a coda of the whole series right here. And then we get like a special 2099 Doom. This is like a hype piece. But there's some pretty interesting stuff in here. Overall, it's Doom's hubris going and taking over a full country of America, and then he falls, and then the people who take it over are even worse, so Doom takes them down, and then Doom kind of retreats to a new place where he can kind of like scheme again, and then it's all erased and he's back to normal as Doom. So a comic arc which really doesn't matter because everything got undone by the end of it, which is the hallmark of a comic run, I guess. But it was still really enjoyable. That last issue was kind of a sad wrap-up because it just felt like a wrap-up splash page issue, even though it was John Buscema art, which was nice. Not much to the story there. It was done by 38. One thing I got to say about Warren Ellis through this is, he really hates America, and it came across hard in this, and he would just make such pot shots at America that as an American, it's not very fun to read this. It's like, come on, dude, stop. That was unnecessary. But other than that, I would say very, very well paced storyline, gripping storyline, interesting Doctor Doom story where he's kind of the hero, anti-hero in the whole thing. You kind of want him to lead America. And it's interesting, when he got in charge of things, they actually put it so he cleaned up all the pollution, made everything better for everybody. He was actually making a utopia for real. And that's pretty funny. And then the evil corporations kind of got banded together to stop that. Interesting there. But worth reading. Is it worth picking up for $100 and something? Absolutely not. If you can find it at half price books like I did, I just scored. Yeah, I would pick this up. If you see this in a comic shop at cover price too, I would immediately pick this up. Don't rest on it. I don't really see something like this being reprinted again. I mean, these sort of things are very obscure, hard to find. I know Warren Ellis has a following, but these are the types of things that they're gems, and you want to find them. Good storyline. I read it all in one night. I mean, that's a testament to a comic book right there, even though the art might have not been the best, and there was a little bit of annoyance with the inserted politics. It wasn't all that bad. And so I'd say this is probably a solid 8 out of 10 read even with that. I mean, if I can read this big of a book in one sitting, then obviously they did something right. Cool. That's it. I'll probably do X-Men 2099 at some point because that's the last. And I've read all of the 2099 that's collected except for that. So I should get it going. Good luck in your hunts and finding stuff like this. And like and subscribe for all the cool content and comic book news and reviews. See you.